Hello, and welcome to Inside Marcy's Mind. My name is Marcy Backhus, and I am your host. Well, on today's episode, we are going to be talking about the war on chronic pain. Chronic pain is something that is no joke. And I think until I had it, I didn't really understand it. And when someone said, oh, they were just in chronic pain, or they always were in pain, or what have you, I never really understood it. Didn't think much of it until after I was in a really bad car accident with my two friends, Mary and Debbie. And no broken bones, but we all suffered from tissue damage and things that you couldn't see and you couldn't put your finger on, but ruined my life for quite some time. And until I got to the other side, I never really realized how bad it had ruined my life. So we're going to talk about that today. I'm going to tell you about what's been going on with me. I'm going to fill you in on what the head priest at my church had to ask me. So grab that iced tea, Diet Coke, whatever you got. I know it's summer. It's a little warm. If you're in the car, if you're out by the pool, sit back, get ready to listen. And we're going to talk about pain today. All right. Well, what a week. I had a very interesting week. So the first thing I wanted to talk about, the last section there, you'll hear a little background noise that I'm not going to be able to get rid of. I had the windows open because I'm recording this Monday morning. I usually try to get it done Sunday, but with Father's Day and everything, I didn't get it done. And Craig's out running. It's what time here? 6:12 in the morning. And Patrick must have his windows open in the morning. So it was either having Patrick meow and yell at me in the background or open the window. So the windows have been closed. So hopefully that background sound is gone and we get a clear recording here. So what about my week? My week my weeks are always pretty good. This was a fun week. We did a lot of things. As you know, last Sunday we went and saw James Taylor, but I met on Tuesday with the head priest, Lisa, at my church. And she said that she had a major role in the church that she had thought about me for and wanted to talk to me about it. Now, all of you that know me know that in any church I've ever been in, I've held a leadership position of one sort or another. It usually has to do with children or with social activities. So this one hit me, bam, like a brick on the side of the head. And she asked me to be the head of the stewardship committee. Yeah, right? Okay, so for those that you don't know, churches, or you don't know what stewardship is the campaign. Usually it's done once a year, but there's ongoing things all year long to remind you to tithe to your church in one way or another, time, talent, or treasure. And so, yeah. And you know what? For the first time in my life, I didn't just go, okay, because I'm really bad at that. And one of the things I had talked about myself about in retirement, you are not going to say yes. You're not going to yes to everything. You are going to put yourself first. After years, we know as moms and dads, I think this really is a mom thing, though. We put everybody first. Put your kids first, put your everything first. And so in retirement, I decided for sure that Marcy was going to be first. So I did not say yes right away. I will let you know that yesterday she was the preacher, and on Sunday. She's not always. We have 3 priests that rotate. And her sermon was almost, if you've ever had a sermon from whatever minister, anybody in your life preached to you, and it sounded like it was just to me, and talking about God wanting us to stretch ourselves in our faith, to not just sit comfortably at where we are in our faith, but stretch ourselves in our faith. And I thought, you're just talking right to me, Lisa. But I know that's not true. But after church, when we were walking out, I looked at Lisa and said, I'm ready to stretch my faith. I say yes. So have I done any stewardship in any way, shape, or form? No, but I've worked as an educator in all kinds of ways. I was a hair colorist educator. I've been an art educator for kids. I've worked at putting education programs together for caregivers. So education is my gift. I don't know why, but it is. And so part of this is just educating people about what tithing is or what stewardship is, how important it is for the church to know what's going to be coming in on a weekly, monthly, and yearly basis so that they can plan and be the best stewards of that money that is tithed to them. We are a giant cathedral here in Chicago. And I don't know about you, we are a cathedral that when you are traveling, and I know when you travel, especially to Europe, you go visit churches and cathedrals. Well, that's no different here in Chicago. We have several beautiful, right here where I live, we've got Holy Name, Fourth Press, and St. James, all old cathedrals that are tourism spots. And you would think, oh, the government gives tourism money. No, they don't. So these are all important things. Sorry, I got the hiccups again this morning. I get them in the morning. So my apologies. A little bit of the hiccups. So anyways, I will keep you updated on that and how that goes. And I'm excited because the team of people they've already put together, we've been here for 2 years. I know most of the people on that committee, which is exciting for me. There's a young man named Lance who is just a computer whiz. And so that means that that's not going to all fall on me. So that is part of why I took the position. And also because it's time for me to stretch my faith. This morning, actually, when I was thinking about this podcast, we moved when my kids were in 3rd grade and 5th grade from Oregon to Orange County, California, to Coto de Caza. And they went to a new elementary school. Well, no sooner was I at that elementary school, but I know I seem like I'm really an extrovert, but there's an introvert in here too. I think we all have both, and just one outweighs the other sometimes. And I always sit back and watch for the first year. No different at this church. So I know the players at the church. I did the same thing at the school, kind of just sat back. I didn't go right on to PTA. I didn't do anything like that. I'm an observer in some ways. And the second year that we were there, my daughter was going on to middle school and Alec was still in the elementary school. And I had been asked by Annie Lush, I don't know if you listened to this, Annie, but I always have adored you, to be the PTA president. Well, again, here's the thing. I'd always been on PTA, never been the president, never really wanted to be the president, believe it or not. And she asked me, and I said, I'll let you know. And I kind of put it off. And she stalked me down at Nordstrom's one day. This was pretty funny, and told me how much they really needed me. Lisa said the same thing at the church, how much they needed me, how much they needed a little bit of newness to that committee. And I said yes to Annie, and I said yes to Lisa. So saying yes to Annie was the best thing I ever did because I found some friends through the PTA. I enjoyed doing it. And I learned the leadership skill of surround yourself by smarter people than yourself. And the ladies that were on my PTA were all much smarter than me. And we did a great job, and we were a great group. And I actually ended up being president for 2 years. So I know I can do this. I know I can stretch myself. I know I can stretch myself in my faith. So we'll see how I do. What else did we do this week? Oh, on Wednesday night this week, Craig and I went to, now, if you know Chicago at all, and if you don't, look it up when I give you points of interest, because it's a great city. If you've never been here, come visit. But we have Millennium Park. And in Millennium Park, we have this beautiful band shell. Craig doesn't think it's so beautiful. He's not being an architect, he doesn't really like Frank Gehry's work. But it's a gorgeous, beautiful, unique band shell designed by Frank Gehry. And if you ever listen to NPR, there's a show called Wait, Don't Tell Me. We've grown up driving in the car to church, and our kids have listened to it. It's every Sunday morning. It's a show that is always recorded here in Chicago at a local theater, but they had a free evening, and it was in Millennium Park. So I don't know how to explain our city life other than it's so enjoyable. So Craig finished up work. We got ready. We went downstairs. We have one of the best appetito Italian delis right in our building. Food, sandwiches, pasta, They have a coffee bar, gelato, and all Italian cookies. I've had to learn to stay out of there because when we first moved here, I would go down every day and get some cookies. And my cat Patrick and I would sit down there with him in the stroller and people watch. But I don't do that anymore. But we grabbed some sandwiches. I had a lovely caprese sandwich. Yum, yum, yum. And we went and we watched this taping of Wait, Don't Tell Me. But those of you that have listened to my podcast, my last one for a long time, you know my husband Craig is one of the most unique characters out there. So he said, I'm going to go look for some ice cream. We still had like an hour and a half before it started. We got there early to get seats. You know how you do. I said, okay. So he comes back with a picture of what they have. And I said, I'll have the chocolate chip cookie. That looks good. They didn't have ice cream. He goes, well, I don't know if I want a pretzel or a hot dog. I was like, a hot dog for dessert? Yep. He had like the biggest meat Italian sandwich, ate the whole thing. I ate half of mine, and so he comes back and sure enough, the man has a hot dog for dessert and he doesn't get condiments on his hot dog. It's just plain. Yes, Patrick, we all know. Good morning, Patrick. And so, yeah, Craig had a hot dog, but it was a great taping of Wait, Don't Tell Me. It was just such a city night. We took the L down, it's only like 2 or 3 stops, but we're going to be talking about chronic pain. And I was having some of my chronic pain and I didn't want to walk the whole way. So took the train back home and it was a wonderful evening. Saturday, we had a family barbecue here. As you know, we live in a 1-bedroom condo. So having gatherings is small, but my building, our common areas are phenomenal, gorgeous. They're beautiful. They're what you think of as a high-end building. We have a huge patio with tons of seating and eating seating. We have 10 barbecues, beautiful built-in gas barbecues. It's lovely. So we had Craig's sisters, their husband and his sister Deb all came for a barbecue. It was really fun, you guys. If you're listening, it was great to have you here and we'll have to do it again. But we played Giant Jenga and we played one of the best games of Giant Jenga we've ever played. Now, when Craig and I lived in California and we had our homes, we had Giant Jenga there and the kids. And whenever we'd have family gatherings, barbecues, we did a lot of Giant Jenga. And if you don't know what it is, it's Jenga on steroids. It's made out of 2x4s and it's just super fun. Well, we played a game of Giant Jenga that went probably 4 rounds longer than we thought it should. And if you don't have it and you have family gatherings, I gave mine away. I believe I gave it to Diana. I hope you're playing it, Diana, because we had just the best time and it was really great having them here. What else did we do this week? We had Craig and I went for a great Father's Day dinner last night off Oak Street and Rush, just like a couple blocks up from us is one of the most beautiful areas of the best restaurants. And it's the Beverly Hills of Chicago. And just to be able to walk a couple blocks and then after dinner, sit in a park with a beautiful water fountain. Amazing, amazing. And let's see, I had upped my gym. I've been doing the gym consistently 4 days a week. I've upped my goal to 5 days a week. I have now managed that 2 weeks in a row. So that's great, but not to give myself a hard time. 4 is really my underlying goal. If I make that 5th day, it's great, but I'm not going to give myself a hard time or feel bad. I don't know about you, but when you set goals for yourself, then you don't make them. It can backfire on you. And I don't want that, but I do want to try to get there 5 days a week. For those of you that know, we're going to be talking about chronic pain and you're going to understand why I go 5 days a week because it's changed my life. So sit back. I think that's my week. Oh, talk to my son a couple times. He's getting ready to take 15 people down the Colorado River for 2 weeks on a raft. 2 rafts, I think they're doing. Leading a crew, having a group, living his best life. It's so fun to hear him. Another week, not a peep from Kyle, and that is our oldest child. If you don't know, we have an older child, Kyle. Kyle is in transition from female to male, which is great by me. Obviously I named Kyle. So, I'm pretty open to anything. And that's not a problem for Craig and I at all. But Kyle has decided to go no contact. So can't fill you in about Kyle. But according to Alec, Alec does talk to Kyle, which is great. I want those two to have a relationship. Things are doing well. So that's what's important. Talk about kids just because it's Father's Day this week. It's an interesting time. Anyhow, we'll talk about grief and loss another time. Let's talk about the war on chronic pain. Wow. I'll tell you, the war on chronic pain. If you've never been in chronic pain, this may not resonate with you at all. But if you have ever had chronic pain, I've got a little bit of information that may be helpful today. It's from an article. If you are a part of AARP, you know I love AARP. I just got insurance through AARP. They do not pay me to advertise. Again, there's my hiccups. But I cut my car and my homeowner's insurance in half going through AARP and getting insurance. I also get great deals on rental cars and traveling. So if you haven't joined AARP because you're just stubborn and you're like, I don't want to because they'll start hitting you up when you're 50. So I also get their magazine, their AARP bulletin. It has a lot of great information for everyone because chronic pain isn't just a senior issue. It's not just an old person issue. Obviously, I started my chronic pain when I was in my 50s and I was in this car accident. I don't know, was that car accident like 9 years ago, Mary? If you're out there listening, something like that. And I ended up with a ton of soft tissue damage. I ended up with compressed vertebrae. I ended up with all kinds of things. And I started my journey to try to get out of pain. And you go to your regular doctor. Well, they don't know anything. And you really need to find a great pain doctor. I'm just going to put that out there. I didn't find a good pain doctor until I got here in Chicago. I did everything I could. I did traction. I don't know. I took, the one thing I never took were opioids because as you all know, I've been sober 36 years. Have I taken an opioid from time to time prescribed by a doctor? Yes, because I've had 7 hand surgeries, but I take them for the short time after a surgery and stop them ASAP because I do know how addictive they are. And the truth is they stop working. And then you need to take more. So if you don't really understand why people get addicted to them, it's because when one works right after the surgery, if you continue taking it for even like a week, you need 2. And so think about that, then 3, then 4. And you wonder why people take 50 at a time. It's because they stop working. The receptors don't recognize them anymore. So never did that. But I also have a connective tissue disorder, which tells me not to take like Motrin. The biggest thing I can take is Tylenol. So when you're dealing with chronic pain, you're thinking all I can take is Tylenol. Well, they have learned that a multi-prong approach for pain is a much better way than just throwing drugs at it. So chronic pain can strike anywhere from the head to the toes. Your toes you can have foot chronic pain, hip chronic pain. So right here in this article, back is obviously up to 45%. Our back takes a big hit in our lifetime walking around. Unspecified it can be up to 40%. 20% neck and neuropathy. I had no idea is up to 52% of the people suffer from neuropathy. So here is pain is an alarm bell that goes off in our body to get our attention so that whatever we're doing to cause the pain is immediately rectified. But one of the biggest mistakes that we make is we think of pain as purely a physical sensation. It makes sense that your body wants to take action to stop pain. Pain turns more complex when it becomes chronic. Okay? The assumption that what works for acute pain is going to work for chronic pain. So acute pain is like a headache, just a regular headache. You take something, it goes away. Let me tell you something. What works for acute pain, I am walking proof, it does not work. So my pain was in my hips, my back, obviously, because of my compressed discs and all of that bulging stuff. And I do think that the being in traction worked. I had pain going down both the sides, the IT bands. So I had someone come to the house and do Alfredo. If you're listening, Alfredo, I miss you. I can't wait to talk to you and find out what your new news is. Alfredo would come to the house and stretch me, and that always helped. But it wasn't the only thing I needed. I needed to work out and to move more. But when you're in chronic pain, you can't do that. So I'm just going to tell you, for me, the multi-prong approach that worked was stretching, which Alfredo did for me. And when I left California, I lost, but I knew how to stretch myself. So I had continued stretching because basically I couldn't get out of bed without tons of pain. I found a doctor here that did cortisone shots, and my body happens to really love cortisone. That's not for everyone. My body takes it, uses it, and I've never had to have the shots again. So I got shots in my IT bands. I got shots in my sciatica, which you have to go to a surgery center for. All of those things brought down my level of pain. I started losing weight, so I lost 50 pounds. So I took the weight off that was putting pressure on everything. And during the losing the weight and getting the shots, I started going to my water aerobics class, which, as you all know, I go 4 days a week. Now I go 5 days a week. That was my multi-prong approach to get out of pain. I am out of pain. Now, not to say like this probably last 2 or 3 months, I had a flare up of the sciatica again, and I really didn't want to go in and get the shot. Mainly because my insurance screwed it up, and I'm still fighting to get them to pay for the last one. And it was $20,000. So I've kind of our medical system is so screwed up. But it was funny. I'm not supposed to take a Motrin, but I thought last night Craig and I are going to walk to dinner. And I really thought, well, I'm just going to take it. Took a leave, totally relieved the pain. So did some stretching this morning. Again, we'll go to work out today. And hopefully I've gotten over the hump of that. But that's my multi-prong approach. Again, pain isn't simply a signal that the body zips to the brain and registers an ouch. That's one type of pain. It's much more than what's coming in from your skin and joints. Your brain interprets these sensations in a context of other factors, including memories, thoughts, and feelings. Okay. So when you're adding thoughts, feelings, and memories in there, you can kind of understand chronic pain. When you're injured, your body becomes hypersensitive to pain. It serves a purpose. You avoid walking. If you've twisted your ankle, you're going to stop walking on it. With chronic pain, however, the attention to these signals becomes amplified, and you can get stuck in a cycle of pain even after your body is healed. Okay, so my body probably had healed a long time ago, but I was just in the cycle. If left to simmer, chronic pain can easily spiral, causing depression, anxiety, sleep deprivation, social isolation, and even economic and financial burdens. So that is all true. I had all of it. Part of the reason I'm so happy here in Chicago, not only because I just love downsizing and living in the city, all of the things, and again, I just want to reiterate, it was at the perfect time for Craig and I. Could we have done this with the kids? Would I be as happy then? No, this wouldn't have worked. It was timing, and God's timing is amazing. Let's be real. So I had depression. I had anxiety. I had sleep deprivation. I was taking Motrin, everything. Tylenol, PM, everything you could possibly take to sleep. And I was miserable. I couldn't walk, go to the gym. Who could go to the gym when they're in pain? Like, none of that made sense to me. Until I built a pain management plan, I couldn't get out of that chronic pain. So now they're looking at building you a pain management plan. And you need to find a team that will work with you. My doctor here was fabulous. When I talked to her about my pain, she immediately set me up with a pain specialist. I drove an hour out to Naperville to see this pain doctor, but she was amazing. And she didn't fill me full of opioids. So if you go to someone and they want to just throw pills at you, don't. Now, are pills important? Yeah. Did I take a depression medication? Yeah, I took it a long time. I took it when I was in California, and I just went off it this spring. I was cute because I wanted to go off in the winter, and my doctor's like, it's winter in Chicago. Maybe we'll wait till spring. Took me off. I'm fine. But I had all of those things, and I found a great team. So, number one, if you are having depression and anxiety, yes, good morning, Patrick. If you're having depression and anxiety, focus on that. Let's get that taken care of, because you are not going to be your best self if you are depressed and have anxiety. So deal with that. If you are really having sleep problems because of the pain, seek out a sleep specialist. Don't ask your pain management doctor or your regular doctor to treat that, or treat it yourself like me. I treated it myself. I don't take anything to sleep anymore. I don't take any melatonin. I don't take anything. And I really thought I needed all those, or I wasn't going to get a good night's sleep. Now, it did a couple weeks of bad sleep ensue after stopping them. It sure did, but I didn't need them anymore. Here's an interesting one. Unlearn your pain. Pain reprocessing therapy. So as we talked about, when you're in chronic pain, your body keeps getting used to it. So you may have to unlearn your pain. Okay. So don't discount that. Unlearning pain. So talk to your doctor about that if you need to unlearn your pain. Commit to physical therapy. Now, I did a lot of physical therapy. I did it in California. It helped with some things. I had my hip flexors had tightened up on me. If you're sitting at a desk and you're over 50, if you're sitting at a desk all day and you find the stiffness in your hips, it's your hip flexors. I had no idea what a hip flexor was. And getting those, even with my stretching, it wasn't enough. The physical therapy, she had me kind of lay on a table and hang my legs off like you think you're going to die. But what it did is it got those hip flexors to stretch out again instead of being in a sitting position. Because every time I stood up, I wanted to lean forward. And that's why old people walk like that, because their hip flexors are all tight. So I got those all straightened out. So commit to physical therapy. And physical therapy hurts people. And here's the deal. Newsflash, physical therapy doesn't work if you just go once a week to your physical therapist. You need to do what they say outside. And I did do that. Scramble your pain. If you've ever seen those TENS units that they put on and do the pulsing, they're super cheap now. They used to be over $100. You can get a TENS unit on Amazon. It's TENS, TENS. And you put the little pads on you, and it sends impulses. So TENS units can interrupt nerve impulses that relay danger, danger, danger. If your nerves are yelling danger, danger, danger all the time, a TENS unit, when you put the little pads on you, and you can get extra pads from Amazon, because I have a TENS unit and I will use it if I'm in back pain, because that comes and goes. I have crunched up discs. I have 4 of them that are smashed and mutilated. So I'll put that on sometimes when I'm sitting and watching TV, and it works great. So a TENS unit is something. But make sure you don't start using one until you've seen a physical therapist and they teach you how to use it. An exercise specialist. Okay, so I don't know what did it here. I was here in chronic pain and living in a city I needed to walk in. Okay. And one day I was just sitting around that first year that I lived here. I was fat, miserable, knew I loved living here and all the parts I loved, but I was in pain. And I thought, dang, water aerobics, maybe working out in a pool. Don't ask me, God, again, I am a spiritual person. God must have knocked me upside the head. And so I looked around and I found a club right down the street that had water aerobics. And it took me a little while to start. I joined the gym and I was doing some other things. I was worried they only have ladders getting in and out of the pool. And I was overweight and I had hip issues. And I was afraid I was going to get in the pool and I wasn't going to be able to get out. That first time, let me tell you, getting out was a strain, but I did it. And now it's easy peasy lemon squeezy. So you want to make sure that you get your exercise figured out, what works for you. And nothing else. I've been telling you, my whole life I've hated exercise. When I was young, I was an ice skater. I just did things naturally. I could run pretty well. As I got older, I never enjoyed it. I loved going to see my friends because I worked out with Mary and Debbie all the time. It's the only reason I went to the gym. Let's master mindfulness. It's another part of this. The emotional anguish caused by pain presents a big hurdle in recovery. Amen, sister, to that. The emotional reactions turn the volume of pain up and make it more intense. There's all kinds of mindfulness. There is hypnosis. There is mindfulness apps. There are some great mindfulness apps out there. You want to make sure that you are working with your mind. One thing is worth remembering is that chronic pain is not necessarily an indicator of tissue damage or poor health. As a human, you want pain as a protector. It is good for you in certain situations, but sometimes the brain can become overprotective and amplified and prolong pain when tissue damage has healed. So with all of this being said today, I know we're over my 30 minutes. I just want you to understand that chronic pain is a real thing. Don't let anybody out there, family, friends, spouses, make you believe that chronic pain isn't real. And don't think that Tylenol and Motrin and opioids are your only choice. Again, if you haven't joined AARP, please do. This is their latest issue, The War on Chronic Pain. I think it's one of the best articles I've seen on chronic pain. It talks about all the different parts of it. We've just brushed on it today. But let me tell you, from someone who's been in chronic pain and is out, there is no better feeling than being pain-free. And that doesn't mean every day I don't have pain. We all have a little ache and pain here and there. Do you hear my boy? He's just ready for me to get off of this. But you can find me on all platforms. Please share me with your friends. I would love to grow this podcast. My other podcast was quite large. We're working on it here. We're chugging along at Inside Marcy's Mind, www.insidemarcysmind.com. You can find Nita Wenrick's information, who we talked to a couple weeks ago. And if you would love to be interviewed, if you have something to say, if you have information you want to share, I am always looking for people to interview. I love interviewing people. So if you have information that you think is important to people, email me at insidemarcysmind@gmail.com. insidemarcysmind@gmail.com. I look forward to hearing from you. Go out there and make it a great day and do something positive.